Hi everybody. Now let us continue watching this video. It's the second part of the module 2. It would deal with the principles guiding growth and development. To understand how growth and development occur in a child and to know the dimensions of it, it is very important to be on familiar terms with the principles guiding the same. The 10 principles that underlie the process of growth and development would be detailed to you in this section of video. The first principle is that the process of development is both continuous and discontinuous. The process of development starts at the time of conception and proceeds either at a slow or a rapid rate till the organism matures. As I already told you, development is a non-stop process. Specific acquisitions of features or skills could be seen as a sudden process and certain others develop gradually. For example, the appearance of the first tooth occurs rapidly and overtly visible, whereas the speech of a child starts with a birth cry and progressively develops into cooing, babbling, one word and then two-word utterances and later complete sentences. This principle also emphasizes that the development at a particular stage serves as a facilitator for development in the other stage. And the second principle is that developmental changes are predictable as it follows a certain sequence and specific pattern. In general, the development proceeds in two directions. What we call it as the development from head to toe and the development from near to far. Look into the illustration. The development proceeding from head to toe is referred to as cephalocaudal pattern of growth, wherein the development starts to form the upper portion of the body and proceed towards the lower end. For example, the structure and function of the head are complete before the trunk region, and the last one to develop is the leg area. This is the reason why a child learns to sit before he or she walks. Next is near to far. The development proceeding from the center of the body towards the extremities on both the sides is called the proximodistal pattern of growth, wherein the trunk region is relatively well developed and proceeds towards the arm and then hands and then the fingers. For example, babies can use their arms before their hands. An orderly, systematic and progressive pattern of development occurs at every stage. The developmental changes progresses from simple to complex levels of functioning and at the same time proceeds from general to specific areas. For example, all children learn to sit before starting to crawl or stand and could draw a circle before a square. The third principle is that the development proceeds from general to specific responses. When you carefully observe a child's activity, you would realize that general activity precedes specific activity. In other words, during the early days, the response of a baby is general and slowly gets replaced with a specific response. This pattern could be observed in all domains of development. To make you very clear, for example, the emotion of a newborn is absorbed only as a diffused form of excitement that gets differentiated into various specific emotional expressions day by day. It is this principle that explains the fact that every child's uncoordinated and random movements or responses get replaced by well-coordinated and specific movement or response. The fourth principle is development involves change. Hope you remember the definition of development as shown to you in the previous video. Development is a process of progressive series of orderly, coherent changes. Hence, development is not a static process. It involves progressive series of changes from time of conception to the entire lifespan. Growth refers to quantitative and indicative changes, whereas development involves qualitative and non-indicative changes. In total, these changes happen in body size, proportion, the disappearance of old features, and acquisition of new features. The fifth principle is development is a product of the interaction between heredity and environment. Development occurs as an interactive effect of both the heredity potential, or what we call it as genetic potential, and then the environmental factors. The question of which factor influences the most is still unanswered. And researchers have proved that both the factors influence the process of growth and development equally, and moreover, they work hand in hand. The sixth principle is that the development involves considerable individual differences. Every child is said to be unique in the rate of developmental changes, though the pattern of development is the same for all children. The individual differences are owed to the unique combination of environmental and genetic factors of that particular child. Hence, it is not ideal to expect any two children of same age to develop or behave similarly. For example, though the developmental milestones state that on average children could speak 3-word sentences by 3 years of age, some children could master it even before, while some other, with great difficulty, could accomplish this milestone only during their 4th birthday. The 7th principle is development occurs as an interactive product of maturation and learning. Maturation is something that's defined as the ability to unfold skills that are potentially present in the individual and that come from the individual's genetic endowment. Maturation is seen in both phylogenetic and ontogenetic functions. What are phylogenetic functions? They are skills common to race. For example, crawling, sitting, walking style, etc. Then ontogenetic functions. Ontogenetic functions are the skills that are specific to an individual. For example, the skills like swimming, riding, bicycle, or even writing. Havigast has referred to this maturational readiness as the teachable moment. It is because at this period the child cannot learn until they are developmentally ready. Learning is a development that comes from exercise and effort, but competence would be acquired by the hereditary resources. Learning takes place due to imitation, training, or experiences, and later gets manifested itself in behavior. Hence, it should be understood that maturation is only a raw potential which has to be fed with the learning experiences to develop towards fullest form. For example, every child has got an innate potential to write, which gets unfolded at a point of time. But identifying his readiness for the skill and providing learning opportunities is very important to develop the skill of writing in him. Then the 8th principle states that early development is more critical than later development. The famous saying, "The childhood shows the man as morning shows the day," explains this principle of development. Any maladjustment in a person could be traced to unfavorable child experiences. Appropriate childhood family structure, enhanced environmental stimulation, well-balanced emotional state, ideal child-rearing practices are some of the conditions that affect early development positively and thereby better adulthood. Then the 9th principle is that the developmental changes are multidimensional. In other words, the process of development is said to be interrelated within the 3 major domains, namely physical, emotional, social, and cognitive, which you would see in the next video. All domains may develop at the same pace or at different rates but influence each other. For example, the physical development is found to be rapid at one stage of life than in the other, whereas the other domain patterns of changes is just the opposite but do influence the overall development. The 10th last principle is that the development is highly plastic or flexible. Development is said to be flexible because of the fact that a particular child who underwent a slow pace of development in a particular area might show tremendous improvement in that area when provided the right exposure and enriched environment. Now, Hope the 10 principles explained to you would have made you understand the common and distinctive changes that occur in a child and why every child is different. The next video would give you an overview of the major domains of development and how it is interrelated in determining the holistic development of children. Thank you.